This is the Blue Man Group. This is the Blue Man Group. This is the Blue Man Group.
This is the Blue Man Group.
This is the Blue Man Group. This is the Blue Man Group.
This is the Blue Man Group.
This is the Blue Man Group. This is the Blue Man Group. This is the Blue Man Group.
This is the Blue Man Group.
This is the Blue Man Group.
Well, hello there, everybody. My name is Ron Ecstasy, and this is Blue Man Group. Today I'm joined by my co-host, Devin Welsh.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. No problem, Devin. It's great to see you. You came in early, which was nice. I appreciate that. And John's chair is still spinning, which is weird because it was spinning last week. It makes me feel as though there's like some sort of ghost or something there.
Maybe there's a fan on.
Yeah, that's true. There is actually a fan on. For just an update, we've been getting a lot of listener mail asking if John's doing okay or like where he's at. As we've explained, John is on like a maternity leave, but the dad version of that. And I'm sure there's a word for it, but in the meantime, Dev, you've known about this. This is kind of like behind the scenes, like opening up the curtain to our show.
We want to find a guest host, somebody to get in that spinning chair and give us the dynamic that the show kind of really needs.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and so we retained the accounting firm Price Waterhouse Cooper. You may know them from the Oscars, Miss America pageants, etc. They are the go-to source for, like confidential information and that kind of stuff. They took care of the selection process for us. This has been an ongoing issue, essentially ever since John, right when we got the word from John that he was a father, we started looking for a new host immediately. Guest host. And we didn't want the selection process to be biased in any way, but we have a new guest host.
Yes.
The search has yielded a result. Abby Fiscus is the new guest host.
Yeah, Abby Fiscus, who coincidentally was also the person in charge of the selection process at Price Waterhouse Cooper.
Yeah, that's weird.
It was her job to interview candidates and decide on the right person, and she's nominated herself. She is now going to be stepping down from Price Waterhouse Cooper to join the show.
Okay.
Something that we didn't advise her to do necessarily, but we're happy that she's joining the team.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit odd for sure. She must have been probably the best candidate, I guess. It is interesting. We never did receive any of the emails that she promised to show us all the relevant people who tried out for the job. I didn't get those. Did you?
No, we didn't hear about any candidates except for her. But we're happy to have her, and we're happy to have one of the bright minds at Price Waterhouse Cooper joining the show. So this episode is actually supported by Price Waterhouse Cooper.
Yes, that's correct. We had a little issue with the payment. Trying to get that.
We still owe them a few dollars. We can't say how much.
You don't have to say that.
Inflation, prices are going up all across the board.
Shortages. Yeah, so we have a host shortage, and we're trying to stay above the water here. And I don't mean that in reference to our cruise where a few people perished. We're still working through that legally, but then also this whole new host search that we're paying Price Waterhouse Cooper out just our bank account is, I can't even describe it. I'm getting anxious just thinking about it, but we're excited to have Abby. We will be seeing Abby, who will probably explain exactly how she got this role next week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting.
But we do have,
hey, Devin.
We do have business to attend to here.
That's right. And I was going to say, let's hop in our time machines and get into This Week in History.
1787. In Philadelphia, the Constitutional Convention completes work on the U.S. Constitution. The new charter for the new nation takes effect after a majority of the then 13 states ratifies it the following year.
Okay.
Right. So what we just saw there was a painting of a bunch of old guys wearing wigs in a kind of fancy room, kind of shouting and pointing at each other. And I suppose that's a depiction of them finalizing the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah. The incredible, I thought it was a photograph. I just thought it was a really bad photograph, but thank you for clearing that up. That was a painting. Quite the room they're in. Don't know exactly like what the setup of that day was, or like the weeks, the Constitutional Convention. Did they stay at a hotel? Did they like what's on the meal? Like, was it catered?
Yeah.
Where do I park my horse?
Were they farting? Like, what did the room smell like? Probably not good at all.
Not good at all.
Like,
yeah,
not showering.
Yeah, and it's like thick, humid air. There's no like dehumidifiers back then or anything. So they're just whoever's bringing in the food or anyone, like somebody needs a new quill, you know, and somebody has to bust into that room, and it's just like all these fat guys farting, and they're probably quarter way to their drunken phase of the day.
Oh, more than a quarter. And
okay.
They must be smoking cigars, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Smoking tobacco in some form.
Yeah.
Probably like really dehydrated too.
Extremely dehydrated. I can't imagine. Again, I've been to Europe, and nobody is casually drinking water. This is just a something that a stereotype that I like to make. It's not necessarily true, but it's just something I like to notice. And I can only imagine that back in the day, nobody was drinking water. I don't think water was like on the menu.
It is true of Europe today. I feel people don't really drink water in Europe. And
okay, thank you.
I feel like at the Constitutional Convention, they were drinking even less water.
Yes.
More wine, more whatever, just bad
mead.
Stuff.
They're drinking like mead and that kind of stuff, and like thick, like just honey, like it's not good.
So their breath
gin
is like awful.
Yeah, terrible. Nobody's they brush their teeth with pussy willows.
Yeah,
and no toothpaste. Arm & Hammer wasn't around.
No.
Unsure of when baking soda was invented.
Probably not yet at that time.
Not yet.
And but hey, here's the thing: we did it once. We in quotes, you know,
we the people.
They wrote the Constitution back in 1787. And what I'm saying is, why can't we do it again? All right.
Okay.
Why don't we write a new Constitution? Why do we have to have this old ass Constitution written by these stinky guys like hundreds of years ago?
Yes.
And it's, you know, it's working out, I guess, but also not really.
It seems to be getting more difficult.
Yeah. The document itself is kind of, you know, every time we need to go and check it to make sure that what we're doing, you know, is in accordance with the Constitution, we pull it out and we touch it, and it kind of breaks apart even more. We can read it, like it gets smudged over time. Like there's a lot of fingerprints all over it.
I got to be honest, I can't even read it. I can't even tell what's going on.
There's parts of it that I don't think anybody knows what it says anymore.
No. And I know that there's a Supreme Court in the United States that is, I think, have some sort of hold on this or know what's going on. We've spoken about the Magna Carta. We've spoken about that many times from 14, and it has been informing me on many things. Constitution, American Constitution, I'm still trying to figure that out. Let's just say I'm like 800 years slow or something.
But if you're listening out there, listener, if you want to just take a crack at writing a new Constitution, get together with your friends and put something onto paper,
Yeah.
And see what happens. Like when they did it, they wrote this thing, and this whole country sprang up around it, and maybe it could happen to you.
Yeah, I suggest you hop on Google.com and you get yourself a Google account. You go into that Drive thing, and then just create a document, share it with your friends. Say like, "Hey guys, just working on a new constitution. Looking for input." By the way, don't hire Price Waterhouse Cooper. Actually, they're a sponsor today. You should consider hiring Price Waterhouse Cooper to help you with your new constitution.
But don't leave it only in their hands. Make sure that you're involved in the process as well, because otherwise they might just kind of give you a result that is kind of strange.
Correct. And yeah, ask for a receipt. When they say, "Do you need a receipt?" say yes. I said no. I thought it was going to be on the just like an email receipt will help. Anyway, you get your friends together. This is like the cool Friday night thing to be doing. I'm sure back in the day at the Philadelphia Constitutional Convention, that's probably how it started. It's like, hey, let's meet up on Fridays or whatever. And then like, I don't know, maybe we'll go to Philly and hang out and party and finish up that Constitution. Yeah, I can only suggest you do this with your friends. It's a great way, or your family. It's a great way to bring people together. It's a great way to reach out to a cousin that you haven't spoken to in years.
And one guarantee is that when you write your Constitution, you will smell better than the people that wrote this Constitution.
100%. And
so you'll just be off to a better start.
Yes, that's so true. But the Philadelphia Constitutional Convention, stinky time. I've never been to Philadelphia. I'm sure that's the best spot to do it, though, I think.
Some of their farts are still actually hanging around in Philadelphia if you smell closely enough. That's something that I heard anyway.
You heard? Okay. Yeah, well, that's I'm just thinking that we need to go to Philadelphia the next year and kind of finalize our Constitution. But we should all bring our Constitutions together and then kind of see what works, find the best parts. Pretend you're James Madison or something like that, and I think you'll be good to go. But that was 1887 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. 18.
That was a dirty, dirty time. But I'm glad we know that now, but let's use that to inform us of what's in the news. All right, Deb, we got some news here. I don't know if you knew about this, but I was out of town for a few days this past week because I was the master of ceremonies at the 2021 Toy Hall of Fame, where I announced the finalists. This is, as you can imagine, it's a Hall of Fame for toys. It's kind of like the Toy Story movie, but in a Hall of Fame type situation. So
yeah,
we got a...
This is the kind of thing that these, the framers of the Constitution could never have conceived of. The types of toys that are coming out in 2021 would have distracted the framers unbelievably. The Constitution would never have been written. No, not at all. So it's at the Strong Museum of Play in Rochester, New York. We announced that the 12 finalists for the 2021 induction include American Girl dolls, which is kind of funny. That's what a few of the guys at the Constitutional Convention called their wives, and the board game Battleship, of which I don't believe at that time the U.S. had any battleships. Maybe they did. They did because there was battleships in the Civil War. So if they were doing another nominee, something that you'd be surprised by, billiards nominated for 2021 Toy Hall of Fame. An old favorite, something that's been around for a long time, but is finally getting its due. Yeah. They had to reclassify it. Billiards as originally like a drunken man's sport.
that requires very little physical, finesse, is now a toy. Billiards is now a toy, and it is entered into the Toy Hall of Fame. They brought in somebody's pool table from their basement, their childhood pool table, and is now in the Strong Museum of Play in Rochester, New York.
Other nominees include Cabbage Patch Kids, Fisher Price Corn Popper, Mahjong, Masters of the Universe, Pinata, Risk, Sand, The Settlers of Catan, and a toy fire engine. So Sand itself.
Yes.
These tiny little rocks that you find on what we call beaches.
Strewn across the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are now considered a toy that is up for nomination into the National Toy Hall of Fame.
So, funny thing here, Devin, I have been spending years trying to, again, reclassify some of these things to get them into the Strong Museum of Play. I was on a committee that sponsored sand as a toy, and we managed to get that reclassified. Much thanks to Price Waterhouse Cooper, actually.
Break out the cigars.
Yeah, seriously. So that was in there. I found some sand, about 3,000 or so pieces of sand, and I brought them in a little satchel that I have, and showed them to showed that sand to the leadership of the Strong Museum, and they were blown away. They could not believe how much sand I had in that little satchel and how perfect it would be for their museum.
And on that note, a quote from Christopher Bench, Vice President for Collections at the Strong, who I'm sure you were in close contact with, says, "These 12 toys represent the wide scope of playthings, from one of the most universal playthings in the world, like sand, to a game-changing board game like Risk, to the popular adult game of billiards. Whether old or new, for kids or adults, all 12 of these toy finalists greatly influenced the world of play."
Yes. It's great. So just want to let you know that online voters are being called to choose their favorite in a player's choice ballot. And I encourage all listeners of Blue Man Group to check that out. Online voting runs through September 22nd, so you have a little bit of time. And these online votes will be counted as one member of the 23-member of the National Selection Advisory Committee, of which I'm on, in choosing the official inductees. Get your black tie ready, crack the champagne, get that cigar. This is going to be one hell of a player's choice final. It's going to be incredible.
And we don't want to tip the scales or anything, but we do recommend that you vote for sand. as the toy.
Yes.
To be inducted, because that would be good for the show financially and otherwise.
Yeah. So a little thing here. We've had our lawyers working overtime. We get a little kickback for every piece of sand inducted into the Hall of Fame. As I said, it's strewn all over the world. I know John's not here, but John continuously talks about his jeweler's loop that he throws into his eye to take a look at tiny things, tiny objects, to see their true, what they actually are. A lot of the times he's incorrect on exactly what type of rock or sand that is. You may remember John's false claim of fool's gold when we were talking about the Chinese gold medal incident.
Yeah. And then when we showed him the sand, we said, "Well, what is this?" And he looked at it and he said, "Well, this is sand." And we said, "No, it's a toy."
Yeah.
You dummy.
You're right. Exactly.
I want to take a hard turn here to another story.
Okay.
A story that has relevance to us as we are small business owners engaging in a job search today. And as some of you may know, people in America these days, they don't want to work. There's so many job openings, and at Blue Men Group, there's no exception. We've got a laggard, a layabout that has decided to jump ship because the unemployment benefits are just so good. And companies, not only Blue Men Group, but other companies, are so desperate to fill jobs these days that
I know
they're getting rid of drug tests.
You know what? About time, I say.
This is an article from thetrustedmoney.com. You know, something that we all consider near and dear to our hearts. The article begins, the global labor shortage has made work perks all but essential for companies scrambling to fill open roles. But in addition to promises of higher wages, flexible schedules, and free college tuition for workers, which we did guarantee to John, but he still is on his maternity leave for men, one hurdle to getting a job is disappearing. In a survey out Tuesday from staffing firm Manpower Group, 9% of employees worldwide said that they are eliminating job screenings, employers worldwide, said they are eliminating job screenings or drug tests in order to attract and retain talent. This is something that we actually specified with Price Waterhouse Cooper about the job search, that we wanted to see drugs in the blood of any employee that we hire here.
Yeah, we have a bit of a different kind of outlook on this kind of stuff. Also, Manpower Group, a company we tried to retain.
They said we weren't manly enough, but I mean, you listener, you be the judge of that.
Yeah, seriously. But this 9% of employers worldwide saying that they're eliminating these drug tests. It just reminds me of some other unemployed, eligible employees who are now unemployed, the drug sniffing dogs who now are unemployed because the legalization of certain drugs. It's just causing mayhem, it seems.
It's causing chaos. I mean, with a good solid war on drugs, there's a clear line, of who gets hired, who gets fired. But with this legalization business, it gets into a gray area.
It does.
And 69% of employers worldwide are having trouble finding the people they need, with countries like India, Romania, and Singapore reporting a particularly difficult time hiring. The poll results, which include data from over 45,000 employers from 43 countries and territories, underscores just how desperate companies are getting. And we know at Blue Men Group,
desperate.
While half of them are dangling monetary incentives, us, 20% are offering non-financial benefits like extra vacation days or, yes, the ability to do, in brackets, certain drugs in the employee's free time without worrying about repercussions. We're going one step further. We're happy with employees doing drugs on the job.
Right. Something that John was never really interested in, and we thought that was kind of a... It's like when you're at work and somebody's like, "Hey, who can step up and do this for us?" And you're supposed to say, "Hey, I'll take on that task because I want to impress the boss." John, not too interested in impressing the boss.
Not at all. He didn't want to smoke the marijuana. He didn't want to do the cocaine. He didn't want to do any of it.
Weird.
The drug screening landscape has been changing for years, the article goes on. In a 2011 survey from the Society for Human Resource Management, 57% of employers said they drug tested all job candidates. Just under a third said they didn't partake in pre-employment drug testing. See, we test, but we want positive results. We don't want negative results.
Yeah. Now, again, to open the curtain a little bit onto the show, Dev, we take a drug test before every single show.
We always get positive results, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and we thought that that's what you're looking for with the drug test. The first time I was asked to pee into the cup, I asked for the person who asked me for some of their pee, which they gave to me, and I did my own tests, but I wasn't sure what I was looking for, to be honest. And that created some confusion.
They're testing for drugs, not for sobriety. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And how are you supposed to study? I was always told you're supposed to study for a test. I was informed that there was going to be a drug test, so I studied, as you do.
Yeah, I partook in all of it, and they said you did it wrong, and so that's why we've kind of course corrected with our policy here at the show.
Yeah.
But the article goes on. The movement to legalize marijuana has picked up steam since 2011, with 36 states allowing medical use and 18 states allowing recreational adult use. Now, that's coinciding with the hiring crunch in a major way. In a current consulting group poll released last year, 36% of respondents who are planning to remove marijuana from their drug testing panels said it was because, quote, we are experiencing delays and or cannot fill positions due to high marijuana positives. It's only gotten harder since then for companies to find workers to hire due to a widespread worker shortage. So we've got worker shortages, we've got marijuana use skyrocketing upwards, and these two things are coming to a head, a kind of a contradiction.
Yeah, and that just reminds me of an attorney we retained for some legal issues that we had. Episode about our cruise that we went on. Her name is Brittany Robinson. She just recently lost her job due to marijuana use, and she told the Chicago Tribune last month, it's archaic. Society is caught up to the reality of smoking marijuana on your own time. And people don't care. We need laws and policies that stop putting people out of a job for petty reasons.
Absolutely. And the article concludes, regardless of how you feel about drug tests, the data confirms that it's a candidates market. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the U.S. had a record 10.9 million job openings this past July. Companies will continue to do whatever they can to get qualified applicants, including taking up drug-friendly policies.
How about that?
So we at Blue Man Group are leading the charge in that direction. We have the friendliest drug policies. We want people to work. We're excited that Abby Fiscus has nominated herself as the guest host, and we do expect that she will be on drugs during next week's show. Yeah,
and again, just thank you to Price Waterhouse Cooper for just being a sponsor today, and just I don't know, I just feel very connected to that company right now. Just the fact that they understand where we're going with this, and I don't know, it just feels great. It feels like we're in a new frontier, you know, and it just feels as though, like you said, we're the vanguard of this kind of mentality.
So another pivot. Speaking of new frontiers, as we embark on a new frontier, scientists, business people, the leaders of society are embarking towards old frontiers.
Oh,
we've got a headline here from The Guardian, the science department. Firm raises $15 million to bring back woolly mammoth from extinction.
What?
10,000 years after woolly mammoths vanished from the face of the earth, scientists are embarking on an ambitious project to bring the beasts back to the Arctic tundra.
No way.
The prospect of recreating mammoths and returning them to the wild has been discussed seriously at times for more than a decade. But on Monday, researchers announced fresh funding they believe could make their dream a reality.
How about this? So let's take a step back here. For those of you who don't know, a woolly mammoth is essentially a hairy elephant from prehistoric era. As we know, we have the technology to, we could kind of do anything these days. And I imagine they got a little piece of the woolly mammoth tusk or bone under the ground in Saskatchewan or wherever they find these woolly mammoths. And they want to recreate them and send them up to the tundra, up way up north. Unknown why they want to bring these back. I don't. Is it potentially to staff? Is it because of the staffing shortages or?
Yeah, in an unrelated anecdote, we can confirm that there was no drug testing policy on the team around bringing back these woolly mammoths.
Yeah.
So we cannot confirm nor deny whether drugs were involved in the decision-making process.
Yeah, so this boost, this $15 million boost, was raised by the bioscience and genetics company called Colossal. Very good name for that company. Co-founded by Ben Lamb, a tech and software entrepreneur, and George Church, a professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School, who has pioneered the new approaches to gene editing.
So we're getting into some crazy territory here. We're using breakthrough technologies to try to bring back the past, bring back extinct species. This is a topic that was, of course, covered in the hit film Jurassic Park.
Correct.
We hope that the outcome will not be the same, but we can conclude that it probably will be.
Yeah, it most likely will be, because these scientists have set their initial sights on creating an elephant-mammoth hybrid by making embryos in the laboratory that carry mammoth DNA. The starting point for the project involves taking skin cells from Asian elephants, which are threatened with extinction, and reprogramming them into more versatile stem cells that carry mammoth DNA. The particular genes that are responsible for mammoth hair, insulating fat layers, and other cold climate adaptations are identified by comparing mammoth genomes extracted from animals recovered from the permafrost with those from the related Asian elephants. So yeah.
As the global temperature gets warmer, we're now bringing back species that are specifically adapted to much colder temperatures.
Yes.
Not sure if
Great
that'll
move.
work out.
Great
and
move.
Another thing, we're taking DNA from a species, Asian elephants, which are threatened with extinction. So rather than trying to work on making sure that the Asian elephants don't become extinct, we are just stealing their DNA to bring back an already extinct species.
Yeah, this is interesting. I've been recently researching zebra horse hybrids, zorses. Unsure if they're real or not, but YouTube seems to indicate that there are some interesting, weird animal hybrids. This seems to be the next frontier of science, where these crazed scientists sponsored by companies with names like Colossal are just going to start taking random pieces of DNA of whatever they choose and then making some insane hybrids and then sending them to tundra areas.
Known as, we covered this in an earlier episode, chimeras.
That's correct. Chimera.
So this is a throwback to the chimeras episode, something that is a hot button issue these days.
Yeah.
The creation of these kind of Island of Dr. Moreau style remixes.
Yeah, it is a remix. This is remix culture. This is sample culture. This is hip hop. This is all of that put into the animal kingdom. So these scientists go on to say, our goal is to make a cold-resistant elephant. But it's going to look and behave like a mammoth. Not because we're trying to trick anybody. Oh, okay. But because we want something that is functionally equivalent to the mammoth, that will enjoy its time in negative 40 degrees Celsius and do all the things that elephants and mammoths do. In particular, knocking down trees.
So okay, we want to make a fake mammoth,
yeah,
that will enjoy its time for the next couple of years at minus 40 degrees Celsius before it heats up, and do all the things that elephants and mammoths do. In particular, knocking down trees, the very thing that will save us from continued global warming temperatures.
Yeah, I'm a bit unsure if these scientists know some of the ground level aspects of the Earth. These are things that I learned.
They're so zoned in on bringing back the mammoth that they've missed the fact that Siberia has been on fire for the last few summers. Somebody should get in contact with them.
Yeah.
The project, the article goes on, the project is framed as an effort to help conserve Asian elephants by equipping them with traits that allow them to thrive in vast stretches of the Arctic known as the mammoth steppe. But the scientists also believe introducing herds of elephant-mammoth hybrids to the Arctic, chimeras, tundra may help restore the degraded habitat and combat some of the impacts of the climate crisis. Oh, for example, by knocking down trees, the beasts might help to restore the former Arctic grasslands.
Okay, now I'm starting to get it. I'm also thinking, isn't the idea of tundra that trees don't grow there?
I have to trust these scientists. I mean, I don't really know, but not all scientists think the same. The article goes on to say not all scientists suspect that creating mammoth-like animals in the lab is the most effective way to restore the tundra. My personal thinking is that the justifications given, the idea that you could geoengineer the Arctic environment using a herd of mammoths, isn't plausible, said Dr. Victoria Harridge, an evolutionary biologist at the Natural History Museum. The scale at which you'd have to do this experiment is enormous. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of mammoths, which each take 22 months to gestate and 30 years to grow to maturity.
Okay, buzzkill. Like, come on.
Okay.
Why can't we do this? Like, we've got 30 years, don't we?
Yeah, don't we?
Yeah.
Lamb, so Mr. Lamb, the genius behind these hybrids, our goal isn't just to bring back the mammoth, but to bring back interbreedable herds that are successfully rewilded back into the Arctic region. Whether Asian elephants would want to breed with the hybrids is, for now, unknown. We might have to give them a little shave, said Church.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
This all boils down to whether Asian elephants would want to have sex with these hybrids potentially grown in a lab. This is a kind of maybe a forerunner to the question of whether humans are willing to have sex with genetically created human beings. We don't know.
Yeah, I can see how this is going to work in a way. I'm seeing like I'm having a clairvoyant moment, seeing like 10, 15 years into the future about this. I have a feeling the next thing we're going to do is teach them how to code.
I mean, well, they'll have to if they want to survive in today's economy. But
true.
Gareth Phoenix, an appropriate last name, Phoenix rises from the ashes, etc., a professor of plant and global change ecology at the University of Sheffield, said, while we do need a multitude of different approaches to stop climate change, we also need to initiate solutions responsibly to avoid unintended damaging consequences. That's a huge challenge in the vast Arctic, where you have different ecosystems existing under different environmental conditions. For instance, mammoths are proposed as a solution to help stop permafrost thaw because they will remove trees, trample and compact the ground, and convert landscapes to grassland, which can help keep the ground cool. However, we know in the forested Arctic regions that trees and moss cover can be critical in protecting permafrost, so removing the trees and trampling the moss would be the last thing you'd want to do.
Oh my God. I'm so conflicted. I don't know where I should be on this.
I don't know whether we should bring back the mammoths or not bring back the mammoths. But it seems as if the balance of life on Earth, that life on Earth hangs in the balance of this question. It really all does boil down to, should we create the elephant mammoth hybrid or not? Yeah.
I would like to, personally speaking, I would like to get back with the National Selection Advisory Committee at the Strong Museum for Play in Rochester. I feel as though those people could help me.
Why don't we bring back old toys, like old tops and stuff from the 18th century?
Yes, stick and ball, jacks, marbles. These kinds of things are much easier to bring back than, let's say, the woolly mammoth / Asian elephant hybrid. That will do much less damage. Just an idea that I have. We'll see if the scientists like that. I have a feeling they won't. But again, this is the act of playing God. Do we want to be doing this? Devin, do you want to be God?
Of course.
Oh, okay. So then we're gonna do it. We are 100% behind bringing back the woolly mammoth to trample trees and restore the ground of the permafrost area. I think that's what's happening.
We sign off on it anyway.
All right, everybody, we're going to jump out of the what's in the news and hop into a new segment, the Vigilante Volunteer of the Week. So, Dev, I would just like to, in the face of all these job shortages and that kind of stuff, kind of shine a light on some of these kind of volunteer employees, I guess you could say. How would you put that?
Yeah, I would call it a sort of a countercurrent to these job shortages, a kind of a glimmer of the future, a glimmer of a utopia even, in fact.
Right.
A world in which people, rather than not wanting to work because the pay isn't good enough, they want to work for free.
That's it. So right here we have a headline. Man with stolen Disney iPad caught giving a tour at Hollywood Studios, deputies say. So Hollywood Studios is a theme park of sorts. I guess that's kind of a name for Disney or something like that. Deputies say a man accused of trespassing was giving a tour at Disney's Hollywood Studios with a stolen company iPad. Authorities were called to Hollywood Studios in June for a trespasser, later identified as Renan Carletto, according to officials. Deputies say an investigation manager with tickets and resort fraud for Disney discovered unauthorized overrides on reservations in a Walt Disney application that was for employee use only. So this app can give someone access to the front lines without having to wait and is only installed on Walt Disney World devices.
Mm-hmm.
The investigator told deputies he believed somebody had a company device without permission to make the overrides. So the investigator said he saw Carletto giving an unauthorized tour within the park and leading the group into a line of one of the rides. So I wonder how these investigators could tell that it was an unauthorized tour.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't wearing the proper uniform, or maybe they didn't recognize him as an employee.
Yeah.
But you know, hold your judgment until we finish the article here. According to an incident report, Carletto bypassed the line after presenting tickets. The investigator with Disney told the staff to cancel the reservations for Carletto and his guest before they got onto the ride, and followed him out into the parking lot to see if the man would attempt to make more reservations. The report continues that the investigator and an off-duty working at the park approached Carletto and asked to speak to him. Carletto told the men he worked with A-Class and did have a Disney device with him to make the reservations, the report says. Authorities say Carletto gave the iPad to the Disney investigator, adding that he had been given the device by his boss, quote, Tony, saying that he did not know it had been stolen. Officials say the investigator has dealt with, quote, Tony in the past for the same issues, but could not provide further information on the man. It is unclear how the iPad was obtained outside Disney property. Carletto was issued a trespassing warning by Disney for all its properties.
Wow. This is like there's that term Disney adult. I believe that Carletto is the true Disney adult, taking kind of their own, showing some responsibility, picking up some of the slack, so to speak. Now, I just wonder, when Carletto was booking these tours, was Disney getting paid? Because I don't think Carletto was like taking cash or anything. I that's what I don't understand. Like who's benefiting here is what I would like to know.
Yeah, exactly. Cui bono, which listeners will recall from last week's episode, is a good question to ask here. Does Tony benefit? Does Carletto benefit? Does Disney benefit? We're not sure, but the solution that Disney came to, a trespassing warning for Carletto on all its properties, we think is the exact wrong thing to do.
Exactly.
We think that Carletto is kind of he's one of a few different characters that you see popping up these days. People that are willing to take on jobs that are most important in our society and to do it for free. To do it without having to go through all the red tape, all the bureaucratic shitstorm.
Tax forms, W-2, I-9, 1099, all this stuff.
Yeah, just go straight to it. Get the iPad, go to Disney, start giving tours, get people what they want. People need entertainment. People need fantasy. They need to have their day brightened up.
Yep.
That's what Disney's all about.
exactly.
Hollywood studios.
Why do you need orders from Walt Disney's grandson or whatever about what Mickey and Minnie are up to when you have go-getter like Carletto, who's out there signing people up in the parking lot, working with Tony. Tony obviously is interested in getting bodies through the door, like this is, hey, okay, there's more people, there's more eyes in that Hollywood Studios park than there were before, and they're getting the information straight from what I believe is a trusted source. Carletto.
Somebody who's so enthusiastic about Disney that he's not even getting paid doing what he's doing. He just loves the job. It's not even a job. It's a vocation.
Yeah, and he's getting harangued by Disney investigators in the parking lot. That annoys me. The fact that they had to do this in the parking lot of Hollywood Studios to confront, I'll say it, employee of Disney, and also this iPad situation. Okay, it may have been Disney's iPad, but I use my mom's iPad once in a while when I'm hanging out with her. It doesn't mean that she like runs my show or whatever. I'm just trying to use an iPad. Just let the man use an iPad.
Yeah, and so this phenomenon that we're describing is not an isolated case. This is something that we're seeing more and more happening around the United States and possibly the world, but we'll have to do more research on that aspect.
That's
Another
true.
article kind of gets at the same phenomenon. Massachusetts National Guard activated to help deal with school bus driver shortage. The Massachusetts National Guard has been activated to help with the state's shortage of school bus drivers. Up to 250 members will be available to cities and towns, the state announced on Monday. They will be able to drive school transport vans known as 7D vehicles.
Well, perfect. That's
so this
great.
is another example of volunteering. Just step up, get the job done.
Get in there.
The things that we need to get done.
I mean, zero offense to our National Guard brothers and sisters, but I don't think they were up to anything anyways, so why not just get into a bus? Who's got a license is what I would say, Look at those hands go up. Oh, a bunch
not
of
even
them.
Who's got a license, but who has the experience to drive this bus. We don't need to talk about licenses. We don't need to talk about paperwork.
That's so true, Dev. I love that. And of course the Massachusetts National Guard is going to step up. So we got a quote here. It says, "Once it became pretty clear that there were going to be some communities shorthanded, it wasn't going to be a vehicle issue. It was going to be people with CDLs." So that is a commercial driver's license. You need to have a specific license, but again, who cares? We started talking to the Guard, said Governor Charlie Baker, good guy. I was just chatting with him last night, actually. And according to the governor, there were already members with commercial's driver license for professional or Guard-related reasons. There are a bunch of communities who have said they're interested in this, and we're glad to help them because it's important.
So, yeah, this is a step in the right direction, but at Blue Men Group, we feel that the envelope should be pushed a little further to say, rather than just, we have people in the National Guard that have the proper license, we should say, hey, forget the license, forget the National Guard. Just anybody that is willing to do the job should be given the job and celebrated.
Yep.
And we have some other anecdotal examples of that phenomenon taking place. The subway train driver, I don't know his name.
Yep.
Maybe you can fill in the listeners.
Yeah,
on,
unsure of his
that
name.
Example.
Unsure of his name as well, but that was a man in New York City who had kind of a genius level understanding of the transit system within New York and kind of stepped over the red tape, so to speak, and just got into a few of the trains and was actually more efficient in his knowledge and capabilities, but was, I believe, later arrested for trespassing and just driving the trains, even though he probably knows more than the average, subway engineer. Another one that comes to mind is a friend of ours that we covered who was delivering meat door to door without a license. That was on some local news where they were saying, please keep an eye out for this unlicensed meat vendor who is coming door to door selling steaks and beef and that kind of stuff. May not have had a license, but he was doing it. And
another great example of this, the famous Dr. Malachi Love Robinson, a young man, an enterprising young man that decided to step up and become a doctor in his community in Florida, practicing medicine, clearly capable, clearly great bedside manner, great allegiance to the Hippocratic Oath, but was shut down due to the red tape. He did not have the proper credentials, the proper degrees, but we at Blue Men Group feel that, we're holding back what is kind of a burgeoning phenomenon, something that is starting to appear in our society that that the bureaucracy does not want us to embrace, which is volunteers stepping up and taking on the dirty jobs that we need done. Exactly,
and some of you are saying like, okay, but what about like pay? Like people should be paid for their work. That'll come later. That all of that stuff's going to come later. Listen, if you want to get paid, just keep doing this kind of stuff. You're now allowed to do drugs while you do this kind of work, so that's that's like a benefit of sorts. It's just a changing world, and we're keeping an eye on all of these labor issues because we want you to be on, again, like I said, the vanguard of these kinds of rolling operations that are happening within our society. So in this article, it goes on to say that all drivers will need to complete training. We know that that's probably not true. Baker said that the cost will be reimbursed by the federal government since it's a COVID-related issue. Just like I said, you'll get paid later. Don't worry about it. And we have some people here saying we are grateful and thankful that somebody was definitely thinking out of the box. Abeta said, unsure who Abeta is. That name. Oh, sorry. That is the Chelsea school superintendent, Almi Albeta.
But yeah, that's what we want. We want outside of the box thinkers. We want people that are willing to follow their interests, their enthusiasms, wherever it leads.
Yeah, and
just do the job.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've always we hate boxes, and I'm generally outside of the box. I don't even like boxing. Just because I don't like the fact that it's a square, like everything's inside that box. I think outside of the box. So this just, it really hits me hard. Yeah. So when Abeta got that call, when I got the call, I was like, oh, that's an interesting solution. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. That really sums it up. That's what we say to all of these phenomenon. We say, well, that's an interesting solution. Yes. Okay.
Exactly. That's a verbatim, actually, what we've been saying. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's in the news, and that's a segment that we like to call the vigilante volunteer of the week. So as we close out on our episode here, just Devin and I hanging out again, that John's chair is spinning. If you are just joining us for some reason on the radio here, you may know that John is now a father, and he is on maternity leave for men that we have been legally I won't get into legal issues with that. We kind of been trying to work with John. He hasn't really responded to any of the messages. I do think he has been trying to call me, but I've been kind of ignoring all phone calls.
But forgetting about John for a minute, let's look at these numbers because we're up big time.
That's right.
Over the previous 14 days, we're up 39%.
That's huge.
We've got numbers rolling in. Last 7-day downloads, 247.
Holy shit!
I can't believe it.
That's like that's the most, I think.
It could be. It might as well be. 5,651 all-time downloads. Last 30 days, 693. Rounded up to 700. Why not?
Fine by me.
We've got first month listens on All Natural Pope Treats, 89. First week, same 89, because that was last week's episode. So we're doing good here. We're keeping going despite John's absence. Numbers are shooting way up. In fact, higher than maybe they ever were when John was hosting.
Yeah, that is weird how that works. Looks like our geographic statistics. Looks like Canada has been knocked out of the number 2 seat.
Yeah,
for the United Kingdom.
The UK has stepped up since John's absence to become the number 2 location for Blue Men Group listeners.
Yeah, and our Central European country of the week is once again Austria, which is tied with Argentina.
Yes. Argentina and Austria and Australia coming in 4th, 5th, and 6th in reverse order. We've got the A countries locked down, folks.
Yes, we like to do things alphabetically, which also starts with an A. Listen, we've got actually South Africa, Austria, and Argentina are all tied at 1% of our listenership. Mm-hmm. So that's 3% total if we count all of them together.
Wait,
but we have a new country here. I'm seeing.
Whoa! Woo!
China.
We've got one listen from China. A single listen.
Listen from China. Now, I only really know one person in China.
Mm-hmm. Xi Jinping?
Yes, Xi Jinping, the leader of the country. I have been trying to get in communication with him for an interview on the show. So I have a feeling that could be... Potentially he's listening to the last episode we did. Maybe he's listening to... Maybe it was about... Because we did that, the bronze statue.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah. He was probably, getting some important outside feedback on that situation.
I mean, makes sense. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. Things are looking up. We've... Again, thanks to the help of Price Waterhouse Cooper, the accounting firm, we are bringing on a new host, Abby Fisk.
Guest host, whatever it is.
Guest host, whatever you want.
We're open-minded.
Again, if anybody has contact with John Biedron, the co-host, please let me know. I am trying to get in contact with him about some legal issues that we have with regards to labor laws. John, just be on the lookout for the gift basket that we've been trying to send you that we believe could smooth over some of the issues that we've had because of your disappearance, let's say, and the fact that I legally have to say that you're on maternity leave for men. And listener, please let your friends know about this podcast, because that's the only way we will grow. Thank you so much for listening. Devin, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.